Our numbers usually, we field between 16 and 20 freshman girls a year.
Thank you.
Ms. Fisher?
I was wondering if we could get from Mr. Phelps a breakdown of how many students are participating in all the sports. Because I see you have an assistant cheerleading coach. I don't know how many cheerleaders you have. Or,
Okay.
or do you have a freshman girls basketball team this year?
No.
So that's in here. And do we have a freshman boys basketball team?
Yes, we do.
So that request is for a breakdown of student participation in the sports
Sure.
for this year.
Same thing. Well, yeah, indoor track also we have 4 coaches. So I just didn't know.
Okay, I can get that.
Mr. Percy?
That's a Title IX thing, isn't it? We got to be careful of if you have a freshman's boys basketball.
Yep, have the same number of offerings.
Okay.
We would offer it every year. It's just that it's based off numbers too.
Other discussion, questions? Ms. Starr?
Is the late bus at VCMS something that you negotiate, Mr. Picaro?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes.
So there's no wiggle room in there?
But there's always room, through you, Mr. Chairman. We can always go back to the contract.
Okay.
Ms. Starr?
I'm sorry. At Northeast School in account 56440, it's designated as support material for the math program and math intervention, yet it's being decreased. Can you
I'm gonna
help me out with that?
get Mr. Someone's got the list. Ms. Green has it, yes.
Can I have that number again, please? That number?
56440.
We really realized that we had enough math materials at the time and that we allocated more to reading because we need more books to support the Common Core.
So that's a shift in resources.
Basically, we shifted most of the resources.
Thank you. Other questions, discussion? Anybody have additional information you would like to request? Or what's your pleasure, folks? Ms. Starr?
Is there any validity, if we're talking about, sounds like the consensus is to focus on all the kindergarten, is there any validity to looking into the impact of reconfiguring on that expense? Dr. Conway alluded to maybe $300,000.
Yes, I'll have to just choose one of the configurations so that we'd be moving students, so I would know the number of students. So I'll choose, I think, the one that we suggested last year. I don't remember which one that was. I'll pull it out. But you know, the preferred option that we were giving the board last year. So I can certainly look at that and see what that will do given our current student load.
Only if the board agrees, you know, if there's any validity to doing that.
Pleasure.
I'd like that information.
Ms. Bush?
I'd like the information, but with the concept that it's just something we're looking at, it's not something, you know, we're definitely going to jump into. So,
Mr. Nicholson?
I think we all remember what happened last year when we looked into that. And, I'm not in support of looking at that again.
Mr. Percy?
But I will bring up that there was a comment made by a parent at Community Forum that wasn't fully understood and fully, if the public knew full day kindergarten would be offered with reconfiguration, it may be a little easier to take. So just looking into it, again, just looking into it, I don't think will hurt.
And we need information to make decisions. That would be the only purpose of having the information is so we can understand what that ramification will be.
We'd have to make sure we put transportation costs in there also.
Absolutely.
I think we figured those numbers
Yeah.
last year, so I think we have that.
Anything else for this evening? Next, Mr. Picard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to expand on one point that Dr. Conway made before in the beginning of the presentation, on the year-to-date budget that was provided, and at the request of the Finance Committee, and for budget planning purposes, we did include the encumbrances, the projected expenditures under encumbrances for our magnet school tuition. Those are reflecting the updated numbers that Dr. Conway had discussed tonight, as well as the tuition to other LEAs and the non-public school tuition dollars as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. It does put a better, puts it in really a correct perspective, so that is appreciated. I don't remember the next meeting date off the top of my head.
23rd.
23rd. Which is next Wednesday. That's right. All on Wednesdays. Remember that. Folks, if there are questions between now and next Wednesday that you come up with as you study this book and come up with ideas, if we can please email them to the superintendent, she'll again put together that information for us and present it at the beginning of the next meeting.
Mr. Holden, may I go through the list of things in case I missed something, please? I'm going to be bringing back numbers on the savings of midday transportation if we went to all-day K, what that savings would be. Looking at our current enrollment and increasing class sizes, so reducing teachers, what that savings would be, how many and where. Look at moving grade 5 to Vernon Center Middle School as self-contained classrooms and what that would, the impact of that would be. Asking for student participation in each sport from Mr. Phelps. And then looking at the reconfiguration proposal from last year to see what that does both with savings in staff and in transportation. So there's one more.
Possible adjustments to administration.
I'm sorry, thank you. That is correct. I remember that. I did not put a little circle next to it.
Any adjustments or recommendations?
Thank you.
Mr. Kemp.
From a mechanical perspective, I looked all through the yellow pages and finally found where this extended year dollar amount was found. It was
58400.
58, line item 58400.
Correct.
It's one of the last two yellow pages
Under central administration.
under central administration. So
They didn't spread it out through all the budget, all the schools. They kept the one number, and that was what was in this, Dr. Conway's presentation this evening.
Right.
They kept it all under central administration.
Because it would have to be negotiated.
So my question is, what is the difference between the $3,549,000 shown on the yellow pages of 58400 and the $3,000,004 on the handout this evening?
The $3,000,004 is just the extended day. In the contingency line item, there is the 3 contracts that are being negotiated this spring. There's funding in there for that. There is funding in there for if we have an increase in population. There is funding for the possibility of an HR executive secretary and going to market value for our other 3 executive secretaries. And I possibly left something else off. But it's all things that would be negotiated and that the board would determine, that you don't want to tip your hand and say to a particular group, oh, we've got 3% in the budget for you. Well, that kind of ends negotiations right there.
All right, it appears in a 3,403,000 and then 143,000 for the one additional day.
I did not put anything in for the additional day. That says not in the budget next to it. There's nothing in for an additional day.
Okay, okay. All right, I propose in the form of a motion to reduce account 58400 by $3,403,980.
I have a motion, Ms. Bush.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to reduce the contingency 58400 account by $3.4 million. Exactly.
3,403,980.
3980, there it is. Which is approximately 7.06%. Discussion on the motion. Ms. Sarno.
I think I'm going to vote against it, Mr. Kemp, simply because I'd like to hear the other information that the superintendent is bringing back first regarding all-day kindergarten before I start lopping something like that out.
Other discussion? Mr. Percy.
I agree with Mr. Barn. I think it's just too early to start taking things out. We haven't got all the information back there.
Other discussions? Seeing none, I have a motion and a second to remove $3,403,980 from the account 58400 contingency under central administration. I'm going to call for a vote by show of hands. All in favor? And those opposed? The motion carries. Any other discussion or business this evening? If not, we would entertain a final motion. Ms. Fisher.
I move that we adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Mr. Percy.
Second.
I have a second, and that's a non-debatable motion. All in favor to adjourn? Mr. Kemp, Ms. Goldich? Mr. Kemp, Ms. Goldich, are you willing to adjourn? Okay, it's unanimous.